Hi, this is Peter Stanford again, VK4GXC, with yet another old-time radio. This particular set is a Collins Radio Company 51J-4. Started off live as a 51J3 and was modified at some point in the field here to a 51J4. This particular receiver was actually the very first receiver ever restored, some 10-15 years ago now. And it was in a particularly sorry state when I first received it. The whole front panel was stripped and repainted, and I even had a silk screen artwork manufactured to be able to relay the text back on. The colour finishes was an attempt at getting an original colour finish match with the texture. It came up pretty good. It's slightly darker, I do think, but it's come up with a good finish in general. The receiver itself had a number of issues, usual bathtub capacitor problems, some grounding issues, which surprised me. There were some ground lugs which were actually not making very well, a little bit of corrosion. The whole internal of this was MFP, that's moisture fungus proofed. It's like a lacquer which was sprayed inside, and it caused some issues. It penetrated into areas and gave a bad earth. Now, as I said, the receiver was originally a 51J3, which is basically the old R388 military receiver, whose filters were fundamentally based on a passive. The filters were passive. They're just a staggered, staggered arrangement of IF band passes. There was a single crystal filter which you could call in to play here, and this would give you a slightly tighter bandwidth over just the standard LC. However, this unit was updated. It now has a 1, a 3 and a 6 kilohertz mechanical filter, which was pretty much the standard fitment, 3 mechanical filters. It predominantly was an AM receiver with a little bit of CW capability. It's a modestly good performing receiver and actually covers 50 kilohertz right the way through for 30 megahertz, so you can actually receive the medium wave band on it. Well, anyway, without much further ado, I'll just give a bit of a show and tell here on how it's also working today. I've just got the audio turned down. So this is currently, it's mid-afternoon here in Brisbane, Sunday afternoon, and I'm just using the 4 watt output, or 4 ohm output, sorry, to a small speaker. So without further delay, let's have a bit of a hands-on play with the receiver and see what it performs like this afternoon. As mentioned, all the receivers gone through. It was fully realigned. I realigned it again about a year ago. Checked all the valves. Everything's running really well. The only thing I will comment on is the 6 kilohertz bandwidth for AM is a bit tight, and you'll hear that as we go through the tests. So just elevate the audio a minute. So this is currently on 15.240. If you can hear it, I'm looking at it sort of off-center here, so it's probably a bit of parallax going on. But fundamentally, the receiver itself was one of the first receivers which you could actually dial up a particular frequency, so to within a kilohertz, and it was pretty good. So this is 15.240, Radio Australia. It bends the meter over this time of day. It's very strong. The fundamental tuning arrangement is a megahertz change or band change. It's 1 megahertz steps. The odd thing is it's plus or minus 500 kilohertz, so it's not 15 to 16, 16 to 17. It's actually 15 in the middle, and it goes plus or minus 500 kilohertz, which is a little bit odd. But so if you wanted to go to 15.7, for instance, you'd have to rotate it around to 16 megahertz and float down a bit to the 15.7. And I'm trying to find the. That's moved already. I was trying to find the New Zealand station. I believe they've moved down to about 11.7 this afternoon. Here we go. So there's the meter, I'm just trying to trip it in there. So there's New Zealand. It's coming a little bit fair this afternoon. What you'd probably expect. I'll give a bit of a tour of the front panel. Okay, the crystal filter, that was predominantly used when the set had no mechanical filters fitted. as a 51J3 or an R388. It allowed you to key in. Now I can't really show you it without the mechanical filters in, they're permanently in, but I'll try. You can hear it subtly change. Let's remove the phasing. You hear the crystal phasing. That actually moves a notch around in the passband. So if we go back to, not that we really need it on this band, but can't really hear its effectiveness. A little bit better on CW, but it's something I tend not to play around with. I usually leave it in the zero position or the off position, and out of band. There is a BFO for CW work. A bit of judicious using with the BFO on it. It's quite accurate, it's very stable, but with the BFO on you do need to back off the RF gain. The actual injection is quite low. Just moving around the BFO pitch here, there are these three locations. Now this is the mechanical filter selection, so it's at 6 kHz position right now. And I'll just take it down through 3 kHz, and of course 1 kHz. So all the filters are working well. It's an unusual arrangement. It's quite stiff, and to be honest, it's fitted on a concentric shaft which drives a switch further in board. Well, it works okay, but it looks a bit odd. Below that is the RF gain. So naturally this adjusts the AGC basically, and whether AGC is off or on, it actually gives you some control. Down here is a cal feature which allows you to do 0 beat to WWV. Let's just see if you can pick that up right now. So 15 megs perhaps right now. Yeah, here we go. Now, the best way I can possibly do it at the moment, at least to get within the kilohertz, is just to peak it in the bandwidth of the. So there's about 15. So we'd need to now offset that off to the correct position. The cal does allow us to run in a calibration peak. I don't think we're going to hear it. No. No, it's been a while since I've played with this, but basically you 0 beat it with WWV, and it then provides you with your cal pips up and down the band. As I saw, the 0 feature here allows you to offset the indicator here by a certain plus or minus amount. Now, one thing to bear in mind, the megahertz bands is preset by a number of crystals, and these crystals, they're not trimmed. You don't pull and push them around. They're just fixed crystals in the underside, and they can be a few hundred hertz off, if not a kilohertz in some cases, by the time they multiply that. So you'll find that from band to band it will be actually slightly out, but you've got enough adjustment on the 0 to give you a 0 indication. There's an antenna. In fact, if I go back to let's go back to AGC, you might see the antenna peak, so you can peek it around on the antenna. It's just a capacitor on the input there, allows you to just trim up that last little bit. To the right is the audio gain. It's got a 6AQ5 in the output stage, this guy. It's fair audio. It's sort of a get-you-by audio, but it's I have heard a lot better. Again, the calibrate feature, which allows you to calibrate at certain points on the band, and I'll try again if I may, just so we can get that too. Now normally the BFO pitch, I'd set it to the 0 point and just beat it in. So you can hear it sort of in there, and again. So it allows you to know where you are on the band, and also put in a marker for you on the band. Now, to the right of it's the AGC. Generally leave it on unless you're trying to resolve some SSB or CW, and to the right of this is a limiter, and this just, you can probably just vaguely hear it just crush those peaks a little bit. The meter is a fully sealed type. It's fairly common when I've seen this Burston one, and it measures both the RF and the audio. So if you turn the audio around, it moves up and down with the audio. And of course to the right is the band change you saw earlier on. So that's the basically functionality of the receiver. I'll just go back through and see if we can actually hear anything on the handbands this afternoon. It's not going to pick up any single sideband. It is very fiddly to do, but we'll give it a go. So let's go back down to 14 megahertz. We'll move up to the interesting thing is there's no flywheel action here. It's really just driving the PTO, the permeability tune oscillator, and it's kind of an odd feel also because it's lifting and raising cams. It gets stiff in places, or not stiff, wrong word. It's more friction in places than others. It's not a continuous feel, but it does provide, and I say the first time ever, a receiver capable of 1 kilohertz resolution. So I'll back off the RF gain. I'll take the AVC off. I'll turn the audio up here a little bit, just see if we find anything going on in the band. In fact, couldn't hear anything particularly. It's been a while since I've used it in this mode. I can't remember if we cipher up in sideband.
When you were a teenager, you must have had a lot of fun doing that. This radio was something unbelievable. There were no mobile phones and all that sort of thing like the modern kids of today have. Very, very good. Okay, all the best, Joe. 73 VK1 TXQRT.
The chap's particularly weak, I think. I can just about barely make out the chap is talking to. I'm not quite sure where he is. I might just slightly recenter that a bit more.
Yeah, piano gets through in autumn, so they've got to go through winter. And so it's pretty important to keep the speed up to them. And so far, so good.
It's very fiddly with the RF gain, audio control. It's not my preferred receiver for listening to single sideband on, but it is. There's something about it. I do enjoy tuning around with it.
Apparently a bumpy here, and
as you can hear, as the signal comes in stronger, it's
grass hay on the property. There's several, flat open paddocks that where the previous owner used to cut grass.
I might just try and push it a bit further on.
We can cut it from here, under the rounding towers. But it's not such a great spot to cut it. There's so many obstacles that I really don't feel all that comfortable having a farm machinery in there. So far no one's hit anything, but it's always
certainly a crisp audio output. I suspect again the audio is tailored for communications rather than broadcast. I prefer to keep it as stock as it was, but I suspect that just changing a few of the coupling capacitors or decoupling capacitors to a larger value may give some benefit.
Equipment to move them. The small bales, it's very convenient, just tossing a heap of them onto the.
You can hear it's pretty stable. There's very little drift. I've had it on for about 15 minutes.
I guess that's not a lot of work. It doesn't take.
As I mentioned, the receiver is 500 kilohertz to 30 megahertz, and it allows very good resolution. It's
got to be done quickly. Got to make
It's a double conversion on some bands and a triple on others, and when you're down into the lower bands, you really are just using the tunable IF. And again, as stock, you'll find that it's... see if there's anybody else feedbacks that. No, bit down in the noise. You'll find that it's predominantly desensitized down the medium wave bands, and it's done that. It's done like that for a reason. I believe that they did have some IM intermodulation issues, but generally I've had a tune around here, and it seems quite good, and we'll do that in just a moment. But I just wanted to see if there's anything further we can do on this band. Pretty quiet. One last area we can just have a look at is the avionics band, which is probably not a great... Sorry, go this way. Great band to be opening on, but we'll have a look. Come around here somewhere. At 867, but with the offset of the BFL, I'm just trying to work out whether it's high or low here. I can't hear anything immediately. There's also a weather vomit down here. Nothing, it's not off. It's not on at the moment. Okay, I'll do one last thing and we'll have a quick listen to CW. If there's anything on 20? I guess this is... It's easy to overshoot on this guy. Have a go. Good timing. Again, I think CW will be possible. It's a 1 kHz bandwidth filter, it's not too bad. And seems anything else there. Good luck. Okay, so we've got the receiver now tuned down into the long wave band. So we're going 500 kHz to 1.5 megs, which is pretty much the whole band in one go. I've just tuned it to a local.
Sunday, see in store for details and discover more
local
amazing
medium wave
offers
station.
at Big W. It's Olympia, and that's basic traffic up to date. Back for another check next hour.
So you can see there's no fading; it's just ground wave.
Jones, take an extra 20% off when you buy 2 or more.
As we go down to the bands, there should be one about 793.
Back home, refugee advocates say their Let Them Stay campaign has been a success. The campaign was launched after the High Court ruled against a challenge to the federal government's option.
And further down, this one on 690.
And a third of our famous tip. You ripper! Rip into Red Rooster's $5 Ripper deal. Available anytime. Terms and conditions apply. Excludes delivery. See website for details.
Not what you call hi-fi. I tend to offset it
let alone
just a shade sometimes, just to get that bandwidth wider.
When I heard her own composition play at the funeral.
And then there's a Radio National down here.
The government really does have no choice but to listen to that overwhelming sentiment. The federal opposition leader Bill Shorten says Malcolm Turnbull's tax proposal was always going to fail. The Prime Minister's plan to allow the states and territories to
and we'll just try further at the band past all these guys.
Who thought that particularly
Oh, Ella Magic looked $1 million, but she's never done anything first up, but she looks great now.
And there's a particularly strong signal here at 1296.
For his long involvement with Intel, the Silicon Valley giant courted disaster. The causes ranged from unexpectedly tough competition to faulty Intel products to poor management decisions. But Intel rebounded stronger from each
Okay, so that's a
episode.
quick tune through the band, and again we can see the audio level here. I'll just lift the bonnet and lift the hood, as they say, and I'll give a bit of a shouting talk inside. Okay, now here's the internals of the unit. I'll see if I can zoom back a little bit, try and capture it all in one go. Just a bit of a tour. The main power supply rectifier down in this corner here. There's a troublesome octal-based capacitor here that you either repack or try and get a new old stock one, but ultimately you'll find that you'll probably end up rebuilding something in that area. If I remember rightly, there's the audio amp device down here, some of the A6AQ5. Mains transformer. This is the crystal filter selection area. Here's the drum, which contains all the 1 megahertz ranges. This top section here is the aftermarket 51J-4 plug-in for the crystal filters, sorry, for the mechanical filters. And down the bottom there you've got the PTO. Down here, that was overhauled when I first got it. And what I meant about that drive earlier on, there's the drive rod down in here for the, I don't know if you can see it turning. That's for the BFO, and that is for the selection of the crystal. Correct, I keep saying for crystal. That is for the selection of the mechanical filter. And some of the IF amplifiers, and I think this is the AGC amp peaking. Now, the heart of the unit, what makes it so good is a lot of the stuff over the side here. We've got a very long, low-frequency tunable IF here, and then we have behind it the main sort of 2 megs and above, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16 ganged arrangements. And these guys all move as the band is, as a receiver is tuned. And I'll see if I can show you. As it changes its 1 megahertz depths, you'll see it moves all around. You see the gears at the front turning. So if we were to go up to sort of 15 megahertz, looking at the front now, it's 15 megs. We'll drop the, there it is. So that's WWV. And sort of on the long wave side, the medium wave side, this is always moving. This is hooked up to the main VFO. So you can see the bar here. Yeah, this lifting bar lifts a load of inductors as it's tuned. You'll see it coming up as I tune it up at frequency and back down again. One of the big issues with this type of receiver of this age is you see the adjustable capacitors down there. They're a two-part device, and I find a lot of these gummed up. Often you have to be very, very careful in separating them out, cleaning them up, removing all the waxy residue, and then reassembling them. It can be done. It's very tricky, very tedious, but once they're done, I haven't had any issues with having to go back and redo them. I suspect it's because it's been on for many, many years in its life, and it just permeates and penetrates, you know, waxy residue left from the capacitors and components of yesteryear. And let's have a look down the bottom here. Again, those are all the trimmers for the crystals. So you can actually trim them, but it's really just peaking it for output level. There's not much trimming for frequency, and that allows you to get a good injection on your first mixer. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, and there is a cover that sits in here. I've actually removed it for the moment, and inside the cover is the original schematic, all bit upside down. And inside the cover is the original schematic, as you can see there.